Coach Kenny Black. 32 years of service at this school. You can call him Mr. Greyhound.
Coach Kenny Black, congratulations on an outstanding 32 years as a coach, teacher, and administrator in the Newport public school system. And when I talk about Kenny Black, I like to go back to 1983 when a very young, inexperienced young man walks into my office and has applied for a coaching position at Newport. And we, at that time, had a girls basketball senior high coaching job open and an assistant football job for junior high. And after visiting with Coach Black and looking at his resume, you know, it was pretty obvious at that time that his resume was not the strongest of all of the people who had applied for the job. As a matter of fact, there were some who had much stronger resumes because they had coached, they had experience as a player, and the job was basketball and assistant football in junior high. And Coach Black's experience was as a trackster, a pole vaulter, and he was a very good one in high school. And he was an outstanding left-handed baseball pitcher for the Newport Legion team. So he had some very strong positives as far as being an athlete, but it just wasn't as a basketball player and as a football player. But Mr. Mullins, who was the superintendent at the time, and we all know what a great superintendent Mr. Mullins was, would tell me, Billy, you're the athletic director, you take these applicants and you interview these people and you bring me the top 2 or maybe 3, and we will sit down and talk about them. So Coach Black was obviously my choice, and so I told Mr. Mullins, and Mr. Mullins visited with Coach Black, and then Mr. Mullins had me come see him, and I was a little bit surprised because Mr. Mullins and I agreed, I would say 100%. And what we saw in Coach Kenny Black was a young man that had great integrity, is super character, he could work with people. You could tell that the number one asset was that he loved Newport somewhat in the same fashion that I always have. This was his home, this was his school, this is where he was educated, and he wanted to be a part of that team. So Mr. Mullins and I together decided that, okay, we're going to take this chance. We're going to hire Coach Black because we feel like his strengths are what we're looking for, the heart. What he doesn't know about football and basketball, he's the type person, because of his intelligence, he will learn in a hurry. So we hired Coach Black, and I might say this, I think Coach Kenny Black has proven Bill Keedy and Mr. John Mullins correctly as far as saying that we did the right thing at the right time. Kenny Black was wise enough, and I will say this, I think Coach Stan McKee helped him a lot. Coach McKee was an awesome junior high coach, and Coach Black learned from him. He learned from Bill Ozier as far as a basketball coach. I hope he learned some things from me, but he went on to be a very fine high school coach. He excelled in 1990 when he brought back the high school baseball program in Newport, and he had great teams, not just good teams, but statewide great teams with a wonderful reputation of being a head coach and being able to handle young men, being successful. And I must say he was fun to be around. And I could tell that when we lost, Coach Black hurt the same way that I hurt and the other coaches hurt and the people in the community. But when we won, which was most of the time, I could see the happiness and the pride and the Greyhound pride in his face. And to me, that's what it's all about. And I'll sum this up by saying that it's kind of ironic that just 2 days ago, I called my son Billy. And Billy Keady played for Coach Black. He was an all-state baseball player for him. And he played defensive back. And Coach Black coached him. He was his position coach. And I said, well, what's going on, son? And he said, well, Dad, I'm writing a letter to Coach Kenny Black to thank him for all of the wonderful things that he's done to help me become a better person and all the things that he did to help me be a better student and a better athlete during my tenure at the high school. And I thought, that is what it's all about when you're a coach. What you look for, you don't get a large salary, but praise from the kids that you teach, that you work with, that makes it worthwhile. So Coach Black, lay back and go with me to the Greyhound games, and we'll pull together as we always have. And it was an honor for me to work with you, and I will continue to be one of your very best friends.
Hi, everybody, and thanks to Coach Bill Keady for getting us started on our program, and our special salute to retiring Newport High School principal Kenny Black. And we're going to talk about a great career. And welcome, Coach. Glad to see you as always. And glad to have you here. We got a lot to talk about. 32 years of education rolled into an hour period or so. That's kind of hard to do.
Well, Bud, I appreciate y'all having me here. I have had a wonderful career. 22 years of coaching and teaching, and then 10 more years of being an administrator in Newport Special School District. I've truly been blessed, worked with some great young people and teachers and staff and administrators. It just was a dream of mine as a kid to work in the Newport Special School District, and I guess I have lived my dream now.
And now that you've retired, what's this Grizzly Adams thing going on with the face here?
I actually went on vacation a week
Oh,
or so
that's
ago.
right.
Didn't have to shave because I didn't have to work. But I came back and said, what the heck, a few more days at work, and I'm sure I'll get rid of it here in the next few days.
How was Florida, by the way?
Had a great time as always. It's always fun to get away and just relax.
I got to make that trip with you guys last summer, and that was a lot of fun for Jane and I also. Let's get started. Let's talk about this thing. You were born and raised. I always ask people on Remember when we do a Remember When show. When and where were you born?
Born in Newport, Arkansas at the old Harris Hospital Annex, I believe it was called, in October 14th, 1954.
I barely remember that, but I do remember it. I was 4 years old.
Right.
That's, I think I was in trouble. They would have put our parents in jail if they'd known what happened. I think Dad left me in the car. He went inside the hospital and told me to sit there. Yeah, I'd been in social services today's day and age, for child abuse. But yeah, and then he came out, and he said, stork, did you look for the stork? I kept looking for the stork. I know he showed up, but for young people might be watching this, the stork showed up that day, but I didn't see him. Let's put it that way. But anyway, 54. Which makes you about 61 years old.
Well, I'll be 61 this October. I hit the big 60 last a year ago, and so My age has never bothered me. 30 didn't bother me, 40 didn't, 50 didn't, 60. I got to thinking, hey,
that right?
I'm starting to get on up there a little bit now at 60. So yeah.
I got signed up the other day for Medicare.
There
I'm
you
like, hey, what's going on here?
60 does seem like, that's almost like you're getting old.
Grew up in Newport, Arkansas. Started out over on Holden Avenue, and then really grew up out in Normandy Acres.
Right.
Part of the Normandy Acres All-Stars.
You bet. You bet. We had a little old, we always have a little football team or a basketball team, and it just from kids around the neighborhood. And we play some kids on the other side of town. I can remember playing basketball down at the old High Hold area on Monday nights. Dad would rent he'd rent the gymnasium part, and we'd play. I can't remember exactly who all. It seemed like Dr. Joe David Smith was on the
Head
other
of
team.
team, yeah.
And Steve Owens and
some of them were the East Newport All-Stars.
Bobby Churchman, 3 or 4 of those guys come to mind. I don't think we ever beat them. I think we played about 4 straight years, and they beat us every game. I mean, they're just a little bit better than we were, But anyway, but it was fun. It was really fun doing that.
And going to school in Newport, and I'm going to ask you where your love of sports came from.
But I'm going to tell you, I can remember to the day, I was 13 years old, and I was playing Babe Ruth baseball, and
For John Clark?
No,
not
till
on the
15,
All-Star
no.
team,
As a matter of fact, Coach Keedy was, and Dale Harrison
Okay.
was the coach
Right.
over there that summer. But the Little League teams had coaches, and one of the coaches of the Little League teams didn't show up one day. And I can't remember whether it's Coach Keedy or Coach Harrison or somebody asked me if I would just kind of stay and watch the kids. I was only 13, so I was just a year older than the 12-year-old.
Okay.
But I got to write the lineup for the Little League team that day and everything, and I thought, man, I like this. I get to
This
coach
is
these
fun.
kids. This is fun. And I'll never forget that, though. I thought, I'd like to do this. I'd like to be one of those big coaches at a school or something where you can do this for a living, And like I said, that was, to this day, I remember doing that, thinking, man, this coaching thing could be a pretty fun thing. So.
And through the high school years, for a football player, you were physically challenged. You weren't a real big kid.
Well, I weighed 109 pounds when I graduated from high school. And,
one old man.
I played junior high football, and then
You blossomed.
and I loved baseball, and probably at that time loved baseball more than I did football. But Coach Counts asked me if I wasn't going to play, would I come out and be the manager? And I did my junior and senior year, and fortunately that paid off for me. I actually got a scholarship to go to the University of Arkansas.
Yes, you did.
And they paid my tuition and my books, and which was a pretty good deal back at that time. They paid everything but my housing, and but that was interesting. And so being the football manager did pay off for me.
Your first love was baseball, and participated in the American Legion baseball. You're a southpaw, for folks that don't know it, left-handed pitcher, what we call a junk baller.
No doubt.
But won some big ball games against some of the Little Rock teams, and one that we'll always remember at Forest City one night. Explain what the significance of that game.
Well, just
a 3-0 shutout, by the way.
Coach Parnell was the Legion coach, and when his family first came to Newport, they were close with our family, and
Yep.
so. I knew Mr. Parnell, Coach Parnell, before I'd ever started playing Legion ball for him, and I can remember when he became the Legion coach, first couple of years they won 30 or 40 games, and he was closing in on his 100th victory. And I remember I'd said something to him one time, wouldn't that be ironic if I got to pitch or something, and when we won your 100th game? Well, he'd won 99 games going into Forest City that night, and I pitched, and everything went right. And we shut out Forest City 3-0. It was probably the biggest thrill for me personally as an athlete, because Forest City had a heck of a baseball team.
Yeah, they were really good.
They had a good team, and as you said, I junked them to death. I threw it so slow they couldn't wait on it. And so,
One guy swung 3 times, went back to the dugout before the ball ever got there.
It was very special that night because, like I said, I was so close to Coach Parnell, and to be the winning pitcher for his 100th victory meant a whole lot to me. And we still talk about that to this day when we see each other. So that was a pretty exciting night.
Along the way, you picked up a great love for the Razorbacks and also for the St. Louis Cardinals.
I did. I just, I guess, most kids growing up in the state of Arkansas, especially Northeast Arkansas, back when I was a kid, the Texas Rangers weren't a big,
Yeah.
you didn't.
Nor the Braves.
But St. Louis, Dad took me, I think, when I was 9 years old for the first time. We all went to, and I was just, I saw Stan Musial in 1963, his last year, and it just was, and you and I used to, I can remember sitting out in our driveway in the car. You couldn't hear the Cardinal games inside the house. The reception was terrible, but you could get them on the radio in your car. And so we'd sit out all hours of the night, just sit in the car and listen to Jack Buck and Harry Carey. And it just, I developed a love for it. And any kid that grows up in Arkansas, you know, back in those days, you were a Razorback fan. And I will admit, as I got older, I ended up going to school at Fayetteville and Jonesboro. And I'm a big Red Wolf supporter also. I just... it's amazing to me to see sometimes I don't know that it's an argument, but which program can this program come in? I love them both. You know, I do. I really do.
They're both doing much better.
Yes.
And it's great. It's a good time in the state of Arkansas to be both a Razorback and a Red Wolf fan. As I said, baseball was your real sport and your real love, and it's ironic that later on, and we'll get to that. Later on, you got to be the high school coach and reinstitute a program that had been dormant for a long, long time. But we're going to take a quick break, and as we do, speaking of baseball, I wanted to set up something, perhaps one of the most dramatic things we've ever seen in a state tournament game against Little Rock Mills. Tell us about that.
Well, Bud, we were in the semifinals of the state tournament in 1998, and there had been a controversial balk call against us the inning before, and it actually had put Little Rock Mills ahead of us. And we came down to
they're undefeated, by the way,
31-0, and playing on their
home
field,
yeah.
on their home field. And of course, we've only lost a couple of ball games too, so it's two great teams playing. But we're down a run with 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning, and the Mills pitcher actually throws a fastball past Zach Harris, just blew it past him. And I'll never forget as long as I live. Zach stepped out of the box and he looked out there and pointed at him, and he said, "You can't throw another one past me." And the old boy said, "Well, we'll just see." And he threw it, and Zach hit it about 400 feet.
Home run, tied the game. Matter of fact, Coach Jim Wallace, who coached at Newport, has some video we were going to show you, and you'll hear Coach Wallace in the background. He's almost like doing a play-by-play. As we go to break, here's that video's a little fuzzy, but here's that famous home run by Zach Harris. Quick break here, and I'd like to remind you that our program saluting Coach Kenny Black, Newport High School principal, upon his retirement and 32 years of service to the school and the community, is being brought to you in part by NEDC, Newport Economic Development Commission. It's been a great year so far for growth in Newport, Arkansas, and we're looking forward to even bigger and better things as we continue to work for you, John Chadwell and crew at NEDC. Unity Healthcare, speaking of changes and big things happening, they're spending just tons of money improving the facility here in Newport as part of the broad-based group Unity Healthcare. We have your best interest at heart. Brand Auto Body Repair, Mike Brand and crew saluting Coach Kenny Black. They've been a part the Newport Greyhounds and his service to the Greyhounds and to the school for many, many years themselves. Congratulations, Kenny, on a great career for Mike Brand and everybody at Brand Auto Body Repair. Lou Allen and Company in downtown Newport on 3rd Street. The tax and accounting professionals, Larry, Lou Allen, and all the guys say thanks, Kenny, for a job well done. And Billy Keaty and everyone at Iberia Bank. We're here to serve you when you need us at Iberia Bank. We'd like to do business with you. You're watching the Salute to Coach Kenny Black here on Cable 15 TV and Cable15TV.com. So you started Fayetteville, you end up at Jonesboro getting your degree at Arkansas State.
I did, bud. I finished in December of '76, and I was anxious to get into the Newport Special School District, and it's pretty well documented now. There was just, Coach Keaty's told it at banquets and this and that and the other. There were just people a lot more qualified than I. You know, I had not played high school football, and so it was just tough for me to get into the program because they were hiring guys.
You hadn't played girls basketball
well,
either.
that's true too. But he was hiring coaches that had played college football, you know, but it took a long time. 6 years later, as a matter of fact. But the fall of '83, Coach Keaty came to me and said, "Coach Black, I can get you in the program, but you're going to have to coach girls basketball along with junior high football." And I said, "Coach, I'll do anything in the world."
Always wanted to be a Greyhound coach.
I did.
Yeah.
It did, and I'm going to say this right now. It's 32 years later, and you talk about fun. I never thought much about girls' athletics, but it didn't take me but about a game or two to figure out that guy sitting down, that coach on the bench on the other side, he wanted to beat you in girls' basketball just like you may want to beat you in football or baseball.
I just read Joseph Thomas' article, reread the article in High on Jackson that they did on our family, and I was going to bring that up. But man, you know, it's girls' basketball. Let me tell you what, it's competitive. But you know, you had some players. I'm thinking Bobby Ann Bradley, and I don't want to name everybody. You had Libby Evans, Libby McGee, Shannon Ray was an all-state player.
Yes.
You know, they had a lot of great kids on that basketball team. Wendy Evans, a young kid who was.
The program had really struggled, and I think before I started, they had only won 2 or 3 games the previous couple of seasons.
Yep.
And in the first year, I think I coached, we won 9 ball games, I believe, and then by the 3rd year, we actually made it to the finals of the NEA, prestigious NEA tournament at the time at Jonesboro, and won 15 or 16 games that year. Didn't make it to the state tournament because it only took 4 teams, and unfortunately for us, the 4 teams that made it were the final 4 teams at the state tournament.
State, yeah.
Our district, all 4 of our teams from the district tournament made it to the semifinals and finals of the state. So, but pretty good competition. But we, like I said, had 2 or 3 real good high school girls basketball teams.
By the way, you tell also the story. It's ironic, you know, how you and David switched careers.
Well, it was. I was selling automobiles, and David was coaching, and David came to Newport, began selling cars at McDonald Chevrolet, and I started coaching. We just kind of flip-flopped jobs and responsibilities, and I laugh at David now. I tell him I had a little more success coaching in high school than David did, and he's had a little more success selling cars than I did.
Yes,
So.
absolutely. But 1983 is the year that you get in the Greyhound program, and thrilled to death, and so happy Coach Keaty would allow you that opportunity.
It was, Bud, and I coached girls basketball for 4 years, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like I said, I was happy doing that. You know, my goal, I always wanted to coach on the high school team. And Mr. Ronnie Brown decided he was going to get out of coaching and get into administration. Mm-hmm. And so Coach Keaty asked me if I would like to move up to high school. And of course, there was, you know, I had to give up the girls program, but I wanted to coach high school football at Newport. Like I said, that was a goal of mine and dream of mine. And so my first year was the fall of 1987, and Newport had not made it to the playoffs the year before. They had been like 7 or 8 years in a row and did not make it in 86. And so we started a new streak in 87 and going to the playoffs, which, as everybody knows, continues today.
Yeah, and I think, you know, even though there was a state championship in 81 for the Greyhounds, Coach Keaty's first, but I think that run from 87 to, well, actually past 91, the other state, but that run in through there was as good a run of high school football as we'll ever see, I believe. It was magic.
I was looking at something the other day, and I think the first year, 5 years that I coached high school football, we lost 4 regular season games. Mm-hmm. in 5 years. It just, it was amazing. It just
Everything clicked.
We won one state championship, and we had things falling right. Of course, we could have won 5.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, we lost 2 other state championship games, and we got beat in the semifinals in a couple of years, and it just
Needed a little luck here and there.
right. And we always talk about that. You have to be lucky and stay away from the big injuries. We just so unfortunate. Everybody in Newport, Arkansas remembers the $89 away game. We just dominated the whole game, and then fumbled in our own end zone late in the ball game and got beat 7-3, and just like that. Like I said, we're just a play or two from winning 4 or 5 state championships, and it just baseball the same way. We made it to a couple state championship games, and
You have the distinct honor, and it's an honor, and nobody wants to be the answer to a trivia question, but you're an answer to a trivia question. Name the Newport High School coach who has coached in more state championship games than anybody in the history of Newport High School. And 9 out of 10 people would say Coach Keaty. Actually, it's this guy sitting next to me.
well,
here.
I had
By one.
had a little advantage over Coach Keaty in that I was a 2-sport
Right.
coach, and so, but I was fortunate. I got to coach in 5, 3 football and 2 baseball, and record wasn't very good after we got there. We were 1-4, but still, it takes something to get there. You have to have a great season to make it to a state championship game, and like I said. We lost one state championship game to Malvern at Malvern on their home field. We lost a semifinal in '98 to Mills at Mills. We never got to play in those state tournament games at Newport.
Yeah,
maybe
been different.
if we'd played at home, we might have won a couple. But anyway, like I said, it is an honor to. If someone had told me in the fall of '83, now in your career you're going to coach in 5 state championship games, I mean, I just could not have, or would not have imagined that. It just some guys coach all their lives and never get into one, So.
You guys on the football team, you worked hand in hand with Herbert Lewis, defensive coordinator, and Coach Keaty is one of those guys, tells you, here, do your thing now. Here's what I'd like to do, and you guys coach it. And I mean, we had some defenses that were just incredible.
Bud, back to Coach Keaty again. He just exactly what you said. He came in and said, Coach Lewis, Coach Black, here it is. Y'all take it. Y'all handle it, and as long as everything's going, if y'all need to see me, come to my office. If things are not going well, I'll be in y'all's office. So, but Coach Keaty, I'll be honest with you, all the years I worked with him in high school, he would make suggestions. He never, ever told us, guys, you have to do this. He just, I might suggest, of course, we did what he suggested most of the time too, but he never, he let you coach. I mean, he did, and he was confident enough, in us that we knew what we were doing, that he let us do our job. And greatest days of my life.
What's a football game, football season? What name the magic moment? I mean, everyone tells me so, but yours had to be the state championship games. I said, well, 81, yeah, but 91, I was just numb. I was so numb. We had missed so close the previous couple of years, and
disappointed.
Yeah,
yes.
I said I was just numb and relieved that we won it 91. What's the most exciting?
Oh, but I don't know. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, if your heart and soul is in it, I found out, especially in the last few years that I coached, you hate to lose so badly that winning becomes a relief instead of, you're never as happy winning as you are miserable when you lose. And so it just to win a game.
The high is not higher than the low is
high
low.
No,
right.
you hurt much worse than you feel good when you win. And I hate that it's like that, but that's just.
Because you expect to win.
Well, when in those days you did, and I will honestly say this, that when I coached high school football at Newport, I never remember going out on the field thinking that we didn't have a chance to win. And that was even the years after, Coach Keaty left. Even I felt like we had good enough kids and good enough athletes. Now, some nights we didn't, obviously. We weren't quite as talented. But I felt like every night we went out there, we had a chance to win the ball game. And people have asked me before about my most special moment coaching high school football. Believe it or not, it was not a state championship game.
Right.
It was in 1988. We got invited to come to War Memorial Stadium and play the semifinals against Camden Fairview. Fairview was 12-0.
They were good.
They were averaging 48 points a game. And there were 2 state newspapers at the time. There was the Arkansas Democrat and the Arkansas Gazette. Well, they both had football polls. Well, in the Gazette, Fairview was the #1 AAA team, I guess we were at the time, in the state. And Newport was in the other paper, was the #1 team. And I'll never forget, everybody kept telling us, we'd called out south and talked to the coaches of the teams they'd play, and they'd say, guys, there's
Can't
speed,
stop 'em.
and then there's Fairview speed.
Yeah.
And there's a whole different level between speed and Fairview. But we shut them out.
17-0.
2 first downs for them that night. One of my old high school coaches, and yours too, Coach Butch Duncan,
Yeah.
met me at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
That one morning, I'm getting emotional.
Well, that's all right.
And hugged my neck, told me how proud he was of me.
Well, that was a big night. That's probably as excited as I've ever been at a football game. And you think about who played so well and names that stick with you and remember in the broadcast. I think about the kid named Bobby Alcorn played so well. I mean, he was just all over the field, and they had that super quarterback, and
They did.
and goodness gracious, just two first downs. What a ball game! Thanksgiving weekend, I think. Did we not play Thanksgiving weekend?
I'm sure it was because the semifinals always fell on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and we talked about Coach Keaty getting involved with defense, and Coach Keaty had a suggestion that week that was a major influence on the game that night. We played man-to-man coverage in the secondary. Of course, back then everybody had a tight end, and Coach Keaty, we watched film. I don't know how many films we had on Fairview, but 6, 7, 8. And we watched, and Coach Keaty came to me, I guess late Sunday afternoon before game week started, and he said, Coach Black, have you noticed how many times they threw to the tight end? And I said, well, Coach, not very much. He said, well, I can tell you. He said, in 8 games, they've thrown to him twice. And he said, we just almost need to disregard him. He said, you take your tight end corner who normally plays 8 yards deep, and let's move him up to about 2 yards deep, and it was Tim Davis. And we did, and I bet Tim made 15 tackles that night at the line of scrimmage. Now, had they ever thrown it to the tight end, he'd have probably been wide open. But we just totally disregarded him, and Tim became instead of a D-back, he just almost became another outside linebacker. But they didn't have an answer for us. I mean, they ran that down the line option, and they'd pitch it, and by the time the pitch man catch the ball, we'd be in his face. And
that is the night, the famous story by Don Campbell, the longtime coach over at Wynn, said he was driving down the interstate and pulled over to listen to the game because he was about to lose a signal where he was driving. He wanted to hear the game. He said, tell Bud Black, I made some remark, a Greyhound swarm, there must have been 7, 8, must have been 15 of them on the tackle. And he said, would you tell Black there's only 11 guys out there on the defense?
well, I'll guarantee you Fairview felt like there was 15 out there that night because
we're visiting with Newport High School principal, retiring principal, Kenny Black, who's given 32 years to the Newport school program and 12 years as a student, so that's 44 altogether. A lot of folks retiring, a lot of folks are great educators, but very few folks have come up as coaches and coached in many venues like Kenny has, and also gone on to dean of students in junior high and junior high principal and junior high and senior high principal and senior high principal. Talk more about it after this break. Our program being presented to you by Mark Manning at Shelter Insurance on Malcolm Avenue in Newport. Shelter Insurance with a long history of great service here in Newport and Jackson County, and Mark continues that fine work. Weldon Flying Service. Shoemates at Weldon Flying Service. They appreciate the service of Coach Kenny Black and salute him. The Weldon Flying Service, you see us buzzing around town all the time above you at Weldon Flying Service. And the Dillinger Funeral Home, Tommy Allen and crew, Highway 367 North in Newport, Arkansas. The Dillinger Funeral Home saluting Newport coach and principal Kenny Black. Sam Nicholson Farms, a great friend of Kenny Black. Sam and his crew for a long, long time, lifetime friends. Say congratulations, Kenny, on a job well done. And Mary Davis and all the crew over at the Norman Baker Pharmacy, where you can just zip right through in a hurry, get your prescriptions filled. You don't even have to get out and go in. Use our drive-through, 1117 McLean Street, Norman Baker Pharmacy.
And Coach Black, he has been an anchor in our school for the past few years. He's one of the first ones in every day watching these Gen Xers and Yers come dragging in. And he always has something cheerful to say before 8 a.m. It sometimes irritatingly cheerful for us night owls and us. I was one of those night owls, as well as I would tell, sometimes I would say, just stop smiling and let me have my second cup of coffee before you talk to me. I would wonder, how could anyone smile so broadly just before daybreak? But Kenny was always here, and he was always smiling from ear to ear. And I always wanted to ask him, why are you always so happy? I'm sure he would have said, you might as well smile because you're here anyway, and there's no point in bringing anybody else down by complaining. That is the Kenny Black that we all know. And I thank God for having worked with him.
Visiting with Coach Kenny Black, it's always Coach, isn't it? No matter if you become principal,
The
superintendent.
kids over there today, Bud, say Coach Black. Now, they don't know why. They don't know why it's Coach Black, but it's just...
Keedy told me one time, he said, I'll tell you, I said, why'd you decide to retire? And he said, I was teaching my PE class, and he said, I'd been retired about 10, 11 years. And he said, some kid came up to me and said, Coach, why do they call you Coach? Well,
that's the
I
truth.
coached here a long time ago. When you were a child, you don't remember it. So it sticks and it's earned. So anyway, you had a great camaraderie for a long time. Herbert, Lewis, Richie Mathis, you, Coach Keedy, it just, what a bunch.
Well, it's amazing, and I've talked, about Coach Lewis. I worked with him for 18 years. He was my defensive coordinator, boss, and never had a crossword in 18 years. Never had Coach Lewis defensively was kind of like Coach Keedy was to us. He just, Coach Black, you take care of the D-backs. I'm not. You tell me who your 4 best are every year, and then I'm going to.
If they do good, I'll leave you alone.
Right, and then Bud, great friendship, great relationship with Richie Mathis. Matter of fact, I had a retirement party over at school, a couple of weeks ago, and Coach Mathis, who lives for football and football practice, took off from Nettleton spring practice a day to come to my retirement party. Yeah. Now that's what I love the guy that much, and I guess I meant that much to him because he wouldn't miss. But it'd take act of Congress to get Mathis to miss football practice, But he actually took off a day of spring football practice to come to my retirement party. But all those guys, Richie, Herbert, Coach Keedy, and of course I worked with some other guys, later on. But those 4 we were together for a number of years, and it just great young men, great football coaches, great with kids. I said at the sports banquet this year, I ended the program and I got to talk about Newport. It can't be any better anywhere else. It just can't be. Yeah,
it was a tremendous run. There's no doubt about that, and fond memories, and hope the Greyhounds continue to win some ball games. We just had a conference championship in football.
We did, and have several kids returning. Coaching change again. Coach Mark Hinsley's taking over, and
he's done a good job in the years he's been there.
8 or 9 years with us at Newport now, so he's an old Greyhound himself now. He's he's just like an old homeboy to us, He's
and some old homeboys come home.
Well, I'll guarantee you, my own son, Ken Black, came back last year, and of course Joe Haynes is on the staff. Joe's a Newport guy. Benny Reynolds still on the staff, a Newport guy. John Bradley is just recently.
Absolutely.
We got a lot of ex-Greyhounds working over there, and I think that's pretty important.
John's one of those guys I think like you that loves the Newport Greyhounds, and his whole goal, in his career has been to coach at Newport. So.
And we have him here finally, and I'm sad that I won't be working with him, but I'm thrilled to have him back.
All good things come to those who wait and work and earn.
Yes, sir. That is true. But again, back to just Coach Mathis, Coach Lewis, Coach Keedy, those guys, lifelong friends, and those guys a bunch, and love them like brothers.
So how'd you get into administration? How'd this happen?
Well, I had planned on coaching probably the rest of my career, and I was brought in one summer, and we'd made a coaching change at the high school again, and I was told that they were going to bring some young coaches in. I really wasn't ready to step down. Really didn't want to, and it just worked out. Well, it didn't work out. I wasn't able to coach, and so the superintendent at that time asked me, said, we had just hired a young principal, Miss Suzanne Bailey, and of course, Suzanne about 4'2" tall, weighed about 75 pounds, and they said, she may need some help with discipline.
Right.
As I found out, she really didn't, because
No.
she was a little fireball herself, but they asked me about to be the dean of students and help her, and you know, I was hesitant. I didn't know anything about being an administrator, but I did it for a year, and then I did it for a second year, and I remember Suzanne came to me and she said, look, you're pretty good at this. Why don't you go back and get your degree and become a certified administrator? And I said, no, Suzanne, I don't want to do that. But she convinced me to do so, and I did. I went back and got my master's degree in educational leadership. And then Dr. Bennett hired me a couple of years later as the junior high principal.
And
Well, I guess kind of like the night we played Camden Fairview, everything going right, but I spent 2.5 years at the junior high. We had been on school improvement for over 12 years. You have to make your state test scores 2 years in a row to get off school improvement. So the first year I was principal, we made test scores. And I say I as principal, I was just the principal. The teachers do the work.
Right.
The kids do the work, the teachers. Tremendous staff at the junior high. And we made our test scores, and everybody was thrilled to death. And so,
because it hadn't happened.
well, we had made them. You have to make them 2 years in a row. We
Yeah.
had made them a couple of times for 1 year, but couldn't make them a second. So our goal became the next year, let's make them a second time, 2 years in a row, and get off school improvement. And so we worked even harder. The teachers worked harder. The kids worked harder. And we made them the second year and got off school improvement. Thrilled to death. As exciting as winning a state football championship.
Heard you say that.
Being
Yeah.
a school administrator and making test scores and getting off school improvement. We are getting ready to start school the next fall, about 2 weeks before, and the State Department of Arkansas releases its list of exemplary schools in the state of Arkansas.
That's a good list.
There's, I don't know. This is junior highs, elementaries, high schools. There's over 1,000 different individual schools. Well, they named 9 exemplary schools in the whole state of Arkansas. And Newport Junior High was recognized as one. So once again, we were so honored, so thrilled. Last year, the junior high got its school accountability, and they've gone to letter grades, and we got an A again. So for 3 straight years now, we've made our test scores at the junior high, and we're recognized as one of the top junior highs academically in the state of Arkansas. And boy, I wish I could sit here and say, boy, you had a lot to do with it. The teachers and the kids. I'm going to give them all the credit. But it was fantastic. Like I said, it was, you have great moments as a coach, but that certainly was a great time for the junior high.
I think, I don't know why, maybe because I'm a hometown guy working and living and had a career in my hometown. I just think even in education, in industry and business, I think a hometown guy, for some reason, just has a rapport, with the community, with the people, in your case, students, with teachers, with the employees. It just, that makes a difference, because if a guy is from a town, a guy or a lady, and she's there and been there a long time, it's probably because they want to be there and they love the community. And if you love the community, you're invested in the community. And you're a guy that's certainly been invested in the community.
Well, I had been told, I never even dreamed of being an administrator, but I always heard it was so tough being an administrator in your hometown. Well, I found it to be just the opposite. I found because the people knew me and they trusted me with their kids.
Yeah.
Now, not that we didn't sometimes have, disagreements over things,
Certainly.
but you're going to have some of that as a principal. You have to make tough decisions sometimes. But mine was always a positive. A lot of parents would come in and say, Kenny, I know, if there was a problem, you're going to take care of this problem for us. You're going to get it paid. Don't do me any favor. Nobody ever asked me to do something because they knew me. Nobody had to do me a special favor because I know you. Of course, they knew I wouldn't anyway. I was going to handle the situation, whatever it was, and I was going to handle it fairly. But everybody was fair with me. They were positive with me. And like I said, I think being a hometown guy was a positive. like I said, I think I did have the community trust and the trust of the teachers. They knew I had been there a long time as a teacher, and that I knew what teachers had gone through and what you have to do to be a teacher. And so my teachers put their trust in me also, because they're the ones out there on the firing line. You know, the teachers are. And
You don't mean to insinuate that somebody would disagree with the principal. You know.
well, it occasionally.
Does it happen occasionally?
Every now and then. And as I said, it's not just, I mean, teachers have to make tough decisions every day, as do administrators, and the superintendent does. And sometimes you're not very popular, you know, but again, being, like you have mentioned, being the hometown guy, I think people realize that even though he made a tough decision, he made one what he thought was fair and in the best interest of the kids, you know.
Now, you get to be the junior high principal, and we're going to end this segment with the story of how Dr. Bennett asked you to be the high school principal, and all this advance notice that came your way.
But we're late September. 3 years ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
Late September, and we're off to another great year at junior high school, man. Everything's rocking and rolling, and we're doing good. And Dr. Bennett calls me over and says, Kenny, I want to talk to you about being the high school principal. And I said, well, Dr. Bennett, I appreciate that. I said, I know we've done a good job over here at junior high, and then I kind of thought maybe the next time that it opened up, I might be considered. And I said, so I'll be happy to sit down this spring with you and talk about it for next year. And Dr. Bennett said, Kenny, I don't think you understand. I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking about next week. And it's Thursday, and I said, I thought he was kidding.
He said, I want you to move Monday.
Yes, he said,
Thursday.
yeah, we're going to have a board meeting, I believe, Monday night. And he said, if everything's, he said, I need you to come on over. Well, anyway, I did. And I've had 2 great years at the high school. I'm going to be honest with you, I never even dreamed of retiring. When school started, I had some health problems back in November,
Right.
Spent some time in the hospital, and
But those problems are better now.
they are better. I feel
Anybody.
great. Oh, yeah, no, nothing life-threatening at all. As a matter of fact, it was diverticulitis. I just, but I went through some, I did, 2 or 3 weeks, a month there, had some tough times, and then I just,
Gallbladder.
had it removed. I just keep it, and that's 60 years old, I guess, too.
Yeah, that's got a lot to do with it.
Part of being, I just got to where I didn't feel good a lot, and and they tell me you'll know, and it just hit me one day. It's time. It's just time. You've done, you've mowed grass, you've been 7th grade coach, you've driven buses, you've been everything, including the high school principal. It's time. And so I made the decision. I talked with Cindy, and as a matter of fact, I spent a lot of time talking with you about it.
Yeah.
Tough to walk away. Tough to walk, but it was time to do so. It was just time, and like I said, I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's been wonderful, but made that decision, and I'm happy with that. Happy with that decision. Now, 6 months from now, I may want to do something somewhere. Who knows?
Well, anyway, glad that your health is okay. That's the important thing.
Doing great.
We'll be back to wrap it up with Coach Kenny Black on our special salute to Coach Black right after this. Our salute to Newport High School coach and retiring principal Kenny Black is being brought to you by the Jackson Funeral Homes. Our family serving your family has been a motto, a good one. We've had it for a long, long time. There are other mottos that come and go. I still like that one the best because it says it all on behalf of the Jackson families throughout Northeast Arkansas at the Jackson Funeral Homes. The City of Newport, Mayor David Stewart and all the city employees working hard to continue to make Newport a better place. We appreciate your support as we continue to grow and prosper in the City of Newport. And Farm Bureau and Jackson County Farm Bureau, great folks doing great service to all the agri community and providing quality insurance products at Farm Bureau. Also, speaking of agriculture, Helena Chemical Company, Randy Cooper and crew at Helena Chemical Company, they are there for farmers when you need us. Any day of the week, we're there. You let us know at Helena Chemical Company.
Kenny Black, congratulations on 32, right? 32 years of service. Appreciate everything you've done for me personally and professionally. I'll never forget one of the first stories about Kenny Black that I can remember is when I got here. He told me one of the wisest quotes anybody's ever got me was choose your battles wisely, and that's been a great quote, and I've thought about it ever since I've been here at Newport, is to choose my battles. And then the second thing that I want to thank Kenny for is always being with me as a principal in the junior high when I was in the junior high, and then here with me in the high school. And I always said this about Kenny Black as being a principal with us, is that you never really thought you were working for the guy, you were working with the guy. And that just makes a person work that much harder, is when you think that they're with you step for step in the process. So Kenny, thank you for all your service, and go Hounds.
Just say a few things about Kenny Black. Again, he's been here 32 years. Really, what's each other Chastain Company? Have another 12. They as a student, so 44 to 60. I don't know what bricks he laid years ago to help build this facility, but I will tell you, he has been involved in a lot of the changes that we've made over the last 5 years in the school district to bring back up to the standard that this community expects. I get tickled at him from time to time when we're putting in the football field, and I look up and he'll be down there watching. I just can't believe it. And then you come on in the auditorium. I just can't believe we got this nice facility. So it just seems like every day something like that. And then what was it, 2 years ago? Couldn't believe we had a contemporary school. So a lot of things have been changing in Kenny Black. So on behalf of the Board of Education, students, faculty, everyone involved, we appreciate your service to the Board of Community. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. We're visiting with Coach Kenny Black, retiring Newport High School principal with 32 years of service to the Newport School District and 44 years in the school itself as a student and coach and an administrator. And as you mentioned, your son Ken is in the program as a coach.
Thrilled to death, Bud. Ken has been in and out of education. He taught a couple years at Rivercrest High School and a year at Walnut Ridge. And I had asked him for years and years would he be interested in coming back to Newport. And I think the pressure of me being an administrator.
Yeah, he hesitated.
He just kind of hesitated. Dad, you're an administrator, and I might be a little uncomfortable. Blah blah blah. But really got in a tight last year, and I needed him. I mean, I really needed him to come back, and we had a junior high assistant football job open, and then and Ken loves baseball also too. He got a chance to be the assistant high school baseball coach, and so I think he finally decided, well, now's the time, and so Ken came back, and I have. You talk about pride. That first Thursday night, he came out and coached junior high football. I know Cindy and our hearts just swelled. I mean, somebody said, well, Coach Black is back on the football field. And I said, not me, but it was like me being there. It just.
And on Friday nights, he was the waggle guy.
Well,
people may not know what waggle is.
Well, Coach Harrison gave Ken a chance to come in and signal in all the plays.
He's the guy on the sideline that does all of this.
And Ken was thrilled that Donnie had asked him to do that, and it made him kind of feel like he was a part of the high school staff, And of course, his dreams are a lot like mine. He one day would love to coach those high school football Greyhounds, and so I'm sure that'll be a goal of his, in the future. But that was pretty important that he.
And your other son, Jace, works for Sudden Link as a salesman over in Jonesboro.
He does, and has been very successful. And I laugh at Jace all the time because Bud used to tell me he could sell, and I'd say, Bud, he
sell anything.
I didn't think Jace, because he's just done wonderful. He just he sells Suddenlink products. He sells the internet and phone service and whatever, and he's just done a great job with it. And I mean, if he'll stick with it, I hope those folks will move him up the ladder, and he'll be able to get into management one of these days. But both great kids. I'm proud of them. I'll mention Cindy. God, what she's put up with me.
Oh man, isn't that the truth?
She's been my backbone.
She's a stove. She can handle it.
She can. She's a pretty tough lady, and she, especially when I got into administration. Of course, school today there's so much technology involved in it, and I don't know how to turn on my iPhone still, But Cindy just everything technology that I needed done, there she was to help me with it, Tell me what you want done, Kenny, and I'll help you get it set up, and we'll get it. And so,
well, she did East Lab for all those years, and and before that,
she's great with technology. She's a great business person. Her teaching career was cut short. She deals with fibromyalgia every day. And I don't know if people are familiar with that or not, but it's a very painful disease, and to this day she misses those kids. And
I
her
saw
associates
him
with
play.
school.
He played for the Dodgers, didn't he? 5-row.
But and like I said, you sit here and talk about her career and stuff, and she's been the backbone of my career. I mean, to support you win or lose, and knows been through the good times and the bad times, and so.
And Papa, you're gonna be Grandpa.
Well, I am. Ken got married this past spring break, and he married a lady that already had a little boy, and so I'm already Grandpa. We love her little boy. Ashton's little boy's named Gunner, and we love Gunner. Just
God, don't we all?
Oh, he's just a mess. And then just a few weeks ago, we found out that Ashton was pregnant, and so we're going to have another one. Yes, and of course, everybody keeps talking about getting a girl. Well, David's son Ben is married, and Kelsey is pregnant also. And of course, they got the good news the other day. Well, it wasn't a girl; it's a boy. It's another ornery black boy.
We just want a healthy boy.
Baby,
and we've had one girl for 217 years. The last 217 years has been one girl in this family.
Whatever Ashton has, I know everybody's kind of pulling for a girl, but boy, I'd take another of those little ornery boys. If we
I just want a healthy baby.
Me too, and I think that's all anybody could ask for. But
and if those kids all have 28 boys, that's wonderful, and no girls. That'd be fine and dandy. But we had a pretty good week, or had about a month there, where you announced your retirement. We found out that Kelsey was pregnant. Jane announced her retirement, and then we found out that Ashton was pregnant. My goodness, things are happening real fast in this family.
Yes.
But they always have.
And it's that's one of the good things about retirement. I'll be able to enjoy those grandbabies, and I'll mess with Ben and Kelsey's kids some, and Ashton's and Ken's, and I'll just I'm looking forward to doing that.
You always ask people, when they retire, what do you plan on doing? Well, you retire from one position, but the law says you can come back later on and do things. Of course, usually most folks that get retired want to do something on a semi full-time basis. They don't want to do a full-time job, but and some folks like to travel. Some folks want to go fishing. And
I do not have.
What
a lot
has
of
Cindy
hobbies.
told you you're going to do? Let's put it that way.
She asked me what I'm going to do, and I told her I'm going to hit that recliner for a little while. But as we just mentioned, I'm looking forward to both of the babies getting here and spending time with them. And I know I can't set it. I'm going to have to find something to do. We've talked about starting going fishing again. You mentioned fishing, and maybe I can do that. I don't know. I'll find something to do. And like I said, in 6 months' time, if I feel good and I want to,
Man, there's some crappie out there that big.
We just never did seem to catch any of those kind.
We got something like that.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know that you have some personal thanks to some folks that you might want to mention again. We talked about Dr. Bennett and Coach Keaty and the school board folks, of course.
Right, and I'll go back to the very beginning. I begged Mr. Mullins for 6 years to hire me, and right before he retired, thank you, sir. I know you're not here to hear me say this, but I appreciate Mr. John Mullins for finally giving me an opportunity. And what can I say about Coach Keaty? I mean, he gave me
He's
the
old,
chance.
like I can say that.
He put his faith and his trust in me, and like I said, he could have gone out and gotten college football guys who played college football, but he gave me an opportunity. Forever be grateful to Coach Keaty and his family, Miss Jennifer, and of course, I'm gonna mention this too. I don't want to just start naming it. I got a letter the other day from a former student and a player, and it was Little Billy Keaty.
Yeah.
I just call him Little Billy. Still, he's not little anymore, but just
Iberia Bank.
unbelievable the letter, and I'll get emotional again. But just those kind of things, the Keaty family, they've just been so good to all of us, And Dr. Larry Bennett gave me an opportunity to be the principal. Never in my life dreamed that I would be given an opportunity to be the principal of the Newport Special School District. So I owe Dr. Bennett a big thanks. I do. individually, as far as I worked for a lot of great people, Miss Suzanne Bailey encouraged me to go back and become a certified. So, I mean, she really did. She told me, said, Kenny, you can be good at this. And so she encouraged me to do that. You guys, my family, Bud and David, and then if Mom and Dad were living,
Yeah.
how proud they would have been.
Yeah, just I think of the whole situation of everybody.
Sure.
You know.
It just, and I've mentioned all the coaches I worked with and everything. They're just, and I could go on and name. You hate to leave people out. I worked with Miss Linda Kent, has been a secretary for me for 11 years now over there, and then Miss Lisa Haywood. I've got to mention her too because my right hand. I mean, she just just like an assistant principal to me. Now I mentioned, even after I got through coaching, Miss Sharon Pruitt and Herbert Lewis have been with me during all my days as administrator, as a principal. So, like I say, you hate to name names because there's so many out there that you. But all those folks have been instrumental, in my career, either athletically or academically. And so I apologize. I'm sure there's lots of other people that have
Only a couple of thousand.
Yeah, that have, I just hope I've been able to touch some kids' lives because they've sure touched mine. I know that.
I think you mentioned our family and we three as brothers. We all three, and David always points this out very, very appropriately. We have chosen to live in Newport, Arkansas. We've chosen to work here with a lot of opportunities for all of us to go other places, and I think it's and you have that and an absolute love of Newport, Arkansas.
Well, I do, bud. I love it. I love the school, and I loved it when I was going. I loved it the years when I was in college. I still came back and
Wanted to come home.
I want to come home and watch Greyhound football, and I mentioned Mom and Dad again. They were big education people. They wanted us to have a college education. That was I was in graduate school when Mom passed away, and she wanted me to finish and get that master's degree and go on and be a principal. And like I said, I hope she knows that I got to be one.
Yeah, no doubt. There is no doubt. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all and all the support down through the years. My brother's on the radio doing Greyhound athletics. I mean, that just added to. I mean, that was just awesome. And you guys are great. They're what y'all do. There are no better. Bud, in your heyday, there's not a better play-by-play guy in this country. And as you said, you could.
Hay was a long time ago.
Well, that's true. But you had opportunities to leave Newport and go and do college athletics and sports, and you didn't. And David's the same way. And we, like you said, we chose to stay here, and there's a reason for that. And because y'all love it as much as I do, and proud of all of y'all.
Thank you, sir. Coach Kenny Black, our special salute to. You see Coach Black out and about, you can thank him for his service to the Newport Special School District, 32 years as a teacher, coach, administrator. We thank all the folks who have paid for the airtime to make this possible. Wanted to salute Kenny on his success and his retirement. We thank them all, and we thank you all for watching. Thanks David and Ben for producing the program here on Cable 15 and cable15tv.com. Remind folks, even if you're watching on cable, anytime you miss part of a program or don't get to see it or just got the tail end, you can view all of our programming on cable15tv.com. All of our videos are archived there. A lot of shows, I had some folks tell me the other day, they went back and watched the interview with Jimmy Valiant the other day. I said, well, it's there, so anytime you want to look at something, it's there. D. Black, you have anything you need to add over there? All right. Thank you so much. And we appreciate you watching our special salute to Coach Kenny Black. Our program being brought to you by Mary Reed at Bratcher Real Estate. We are proud to say that we can get it sold for you at Brancher Real Estate. Many years of service to the community here in Newport and Northeast Arkansas. Mary Reed at Brancher Real Estate. Also brought to you by Betty Butler, your disability representative. I can tell you from personal experience that she is great at helping folks get your disability insurance from Social Security. Located down on 3rd Street, Betty Butler, your disability representative. Lindley Healthcare and Rehab, what a great job those people do. I hope you've seen their videos here on Cable 15 or on our website or Facebook. They are superb, and we salute them on their great work. Libby McGee, all kinds of insurance, not just one line, multi-lines of insurance from Libby McGee. She's located behind the new shopping center here in Newport. And Kirtner Lumber Company, landscaping supplies for the fall. It's just around the corner. Now's the time to think about it. And great paneling for the floor, the wall, whatever you want to use it for. Top grade available at Kirtner Lumber Company. And don't forget our friends at the Doyle Farms, Mickey Doyle Farms, say salute to Kenny Black on his great work serving the Newport community and the Newport schools.
All of us at George Kell Motors here in Newport want to say a special word of appreciation to Kenny Black. Kenny Black served the school and our community for 32 years. Half of his life he's dedicated to the kids at Newport, Arkansas. Kenny, thanks for all you've done, but you're not off the hook. We've got more things for you to do a little bit down the road when you can. We're looking forward to more leadership and dedication from you for our community. Thank you again for all you've done, Kenny Black.
Okay. What an emotional night. I've been coming for 50 years, I guess. Never seen anything like this. Just unbelievable. Just what a great evening. Let me just say thank you to everyone out here for your support throughout this year and every year. This is such a special place. Been here all my life. I don't know what it's like anywhere else. I don't want to know. It can't be any better